LLCS, where we keep you in the know of everything real estate. So, I'm Noelle Frieson. I'm the director at the Center for Real Estate Education. And we have our panel of experts. First, we have Nima Ameri, who is a lawyer, a rock star deal maker, and the partner at Ameri Law Firm. We have Eric Anderson, who is the CEO of Alexander Anderson Real Estate Group. And last but definitely not least, we have Omar Sharif, the VP of the Alexander Anderson Capital Group. Today we're going to be talking about investment properties. Everyone wants to know, how can I build a portfolio? How can I, make money investing in different properties? How can I use other people's money to invest in properties? We're gonna go all through that, okay? You have your COVID gear on?
I converted to the light version. That was my heavy duty. This is my light.
All right, but before we start on investment properties, how are you guys?
Awesome. New year, new start, new you, new career, new life.
Good.
Out with the old.
In with the new?
In with the new.
Trying to figure out how to make more money this year than last year.
Yeah.
So I want to start off the new year with affirmations. I want one word, and you guys at home can give me one word as well on your board, on the chat. But I want one word that signifies what you expect 2022 to be for you. Go.
No.
No?
Well, one word is really hard, right? Now I have to explain it. No. So to tell more people, no. I spend a ton of my time, right? Helping people, doing things for other people, that I waste my own time, right? And listen, I love you all, but I decided that this year I'm gonna be selfish and I'm gonna say no to people. And I'm gonna use my time, which is a commodity, right? Everyone only gets 24 hours a day. That's the one consistent in this world, right? That's where everyone is on the same playing field. So I don't wanna hear, no, I have it different. Everyone has 24 hours a day. You figure out how many of those hours you're gonna use to be productive and what you're gonna use them on. This year, I'm gonna use more of that time to be productive on things that benefit me, as opposed to deal making for other people, which I spend a lot of time doing. So this is a year of no, where I tell people no, and that's it.
So does that mean you're gonna answer my phone call faster?
What is it? The year of?
No.
So, mind you, Eric is one of the few phone calls I almost always answer or respond to with a text message. Because I know he would do the same thing for me. So if people do it for you, you have to always be willing to do it for them.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Eric, what's your word?
My word is
mask.
My word is, and I've been toying with which word. My word is limits. So again, I need to explain that, but setting limitations to what I'm going to get involved in, because there's only, as Nima just said, 24 hours a day, and trying to pick the things that I'll be able to be the most productive with, B, that will garner the most success, and then C, making sure that those two also fit with the third one, which is, what do I want to do? What do I enjoy doing? So limits, making sure they fit into those three categories, and then moving forward in that direction.
Nice.
Thank you.
I would say my word is growth, because most days there's so many things going on that we feel overwhelmed and we get bogged down by them, and it just helps to remember that the purpose of getting through all this stuff is to grow, and you get bogged down sometimes, but it's okay as long as it pushes you forward. But I will say though, Nima, the word no, that was probably my New Year's word 5 years ago.
Did it work?
Did it work?
Eric, does it work?
No.
No, because
It depends who's asking him.
That's true. So in order to get things done, I fully agree. You have to say no, and you can't take on too many things at one time. So I'm with you.
No, look, I mean, the reality of it is, right, if you all think about it, and I guarantee you, it doesn't matter where you are in life, whether you're taking a class to be an agent, whether you are watching this podcast from home and you're starting a new business endeavor, wherever you are, whether you have $100 in your bank account or you got $100 million in your bank account, right? If you really think back to all the times where you do things for other people, and I'm not saying don't, you should always, like whatever you give, you get back. I'm a full believer in karma, right? But if you think about all of that time, a lot of you actually will realize that you may even be doing that to procrastinate, because you get a feel-good feeling about helping someone else, and you're procrastinating doing things for yourself or what you need to be doing, and then in return it's your way of justifying not getting your own work done. And you may realize that the moment you stop doing it, people may start saying, oh, he's changed, she's changed, they've changed, they're an asshole now, blah, 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 blah. Listen, who cares what other people think? As long as at the end of the day, you're done with what you need to do for you and you're content with your day's productivity and you got that little bit of energy left over, then go back and help. And remember, the best thing you can honestly do is do what's best for you, and then with that extra money you've made, because now you're prioritizing yourself in life, donate. Use those money to give to other organizations, and that's how you can give back.
You've thought a lot about this.
I have.
You have, really?
I have.
You really have.
I always kind of think about it a lot, but I think more recently I've just had this revelation where I just don't care anymore, right? I'm always out there helping other people, and my wife even made a comment about, I just don't care. If it's a situation now where I feel like I'm getting played or someone is not appreciative of the work I do, whatever, who cares?
You're my new guru now.
Yeah. Look,
I need to not care.
people can hate on you, people can dislike you, people can say you're an asshole, but at the end of the day,
who cares?
Who cares?
Wow.
Right? What's in your bank account? What are you doing for the day? What's your productivity? And how do you feel about yourself at the end of the day? That extra 30 minutes of hearing someone else complain about their problems and absorb that negative energy that they have to give, end call, get on the treadmill, even if you walk for 30 minutes, and get rid of your own negative energy. Leave that positivity
Matthew says
inside.
Preach. You are a minister
But it's
for
the
the
reality
day.
of it. Everyone is so concerned about other people's opinions. Now look, it's easy for us who have made it to turn around and say whatever, right? Because at the end of the day, when you don't rely on other people, it's fine. But you should still work with other people. But at the end of the day, just don't forget about yourself. This is a new year. This is going to be a crazy year because we're hitting another surge in Omicron. Wow. The market is, nobody knows, is it up, is it down? Nobody knows whether the feds will raise the rates. Guys, we are real estate professionals in almost every industry, and we have no idea what's going to happen in the next 12 months.
No one knows.
So we're sitting here with our opinions, and we're now mapping the West because our country, our economy, the real estate market has never experienced a perfect storm.
We're going to get you a pulpit soon.
What's that?
We're going to get you a pulpit where the minister stands.
Oh,
with
then
the
we're
big cross
going
in
to
the back.
pass out a basket. Y'all are going to donate, and I'm going to buy a private jet.
Well, wait, I want to give my word. My word, even though I might switch it to no. You've made a believer out of me, but my word is impact. I want to have an impact in every part of my life. I want to make sure that I'm being impactful in every part of my life, because sometimes I look back on things and I'm like, oh, I was a bystander in that. I want to make sure that I'm no longer a third party looking in and that I'm making an impact.
Oh.
So
You're always making an impact in our lives.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, but we're really here to talk about real estate, right? Okay, we're talking about investments.
And an investment can make an impact.
Well, it can.
Yeah.
Well, let's
And
talk
you have
about
to know
that.
how to say no
Do you?
to the wrong
The
investment.
bad deals.
And you have to say yes to the right investment, which is going to help you grow.
Yeah.
Well,
And
there
you have to
go.
limit yourself to one at a time so you don't get overwhelmed. How is that?
You have to limit your. That's
Just
why
use
you
all
always
of your
limit.
words.
Just so you know, Eric always has a million balls in the sky. So I think that's a good word. Limit.
Yes. The more balls that you juggle, the more fun life is.
Oh, the more they drop too.
Yeah.
But
I never drop any balls.
so let's talk about what are the different types
I'm so
of
glad I'm wearing a mask right now.
what are the different types of investment properties, guys?
Two,
What-
the good and the bad.
Well, no, explain, because not every. See, how does one identify what a good property investment is? We're going to talk about that. First, I want you guys to sort of put it out there so people understand what is getting into investment properties. What is it? Where do I start? I have no idea. You guys tell me, you guys tell the world.
So I'll start. So in real estate, it's short term and long term. And most people in the short term are familiar with flipping houses. That's your short term, buy, fix, and sell. Long term is more buy and hold, your rental properties. And those are the two main ways of investing in real estate. Flip, short term, buy and hold, long term for cash flow.
Yeah?
Eric, what's your thoughts?
I think that it all depends on how much money you have to start with. So first you need to understand what an investment property is, and then you need to map out what your goals are for that investment property. So do you want to be able to lay at the beach all summer and make money and not have to work?
Yes.
That's one goal. Do you want to generate income so you can buy more rental properties? Like where's your direction? What's your goal? And then once you figure that out, that leads you to the type of product that you buy. If you have a bigger picture but you can't get there yet because you don't have the right training or the right tools, you start smaller, but then you know that you're maybe buying that investment property and it's a short-term hold for you. It's something that you're gonna buy a 3-family, you're gonna change out the tenants, you're gonna fix it up, you're gonna make it better, you're gonna make cash flow, then you're gonna sell it and take that chunk of money and then buy 2 properties instead of 1 property. So there's different options.
So what I'm hearing is that we're talking rental properties. What else are we talking for investments?
Well, we're talking real estate.
Just real estate. It could be land, it could be a house, it could be...
So specifically for a novice person, I think rental properties is the easiest way to go. But you could start with something like if you had 10 acres of land, you could go subdivide that land and sell it to a builder who's going to have now 10 plots to build houses on.
After you guys have put in the money, run the septics, run the sewage, run the electric. So guys, this question is such a loaded question, right? What's an investment? I mean, right? It's okay. So
should we be talking right now about rental properties?
I think we should just gross it out first and maybe see what people's thoughts are. So look, guys, an investment is any vessel that you put your money into that will either appreciate over time and give you a return immediately based off of what you've put in, right? So that's what an investment is. Whether you're buying a watch, a house, now a car, that's the definition of an investment. The real question here is, what type of investor do you want to be? Because everyone wants to make investments. Now, if we're narrowed down to real estate, the same definition applies. Do you want to be an investor that builds wealth, or do you want to be an investor that makes money? If you want to build wealth and you want to build equity over time and service your debt and get an initial lower return on your money, there's a way of investing. If you want to live off of investing and you want to have a glamorous lifestyle and you want to make money within a short period of time, well then you're talking about a short-term investment. So the real question is, what do you want out of it, right? If you're trying to live off of it, you're going to be fixing and flipping. And to Derek's point, Derek, you wrote in here, you heard it's not easy. I'm willing, I don't know the statistic on this. I will bet on this show right now, I will bet $500, right? That 5 out of 10 investors, 6 out of, maybe even 7 out of 10 investors will either lose money or break even on their first project.
Guys, someone find me something that goes against that so I can win his $500. But no,
well,
I agree.
let's ask Omar, because you flipped 40 houses. Your first 3 houses, did you make money or lose money?
So that's a great point, Nima. And the first one, great point. So the first one I made money. Second one I broke even.
What about your third one?
Third one and forward, everything went well.
Ah.
Some break evens, but for the most part they went well. But to Nima's point, I met with my accountant last week, and I asked him the same question. Out of all the clients you have who flip houses, do they make money? Because I teach a course on it and I'm just interested in knowing how people are doing. And he gave me a shrug. He said, no, not really.
So people aren't making money.
No, he said that the people who make money are the general contractors who have partnerships in it. Key point over here. But the one who flips a house and delegates it to a contractor, they usually don't end up making money because they're not doing it right.
So I personally have made money on every single real estate deal that I've been an owner in. For an investment, I've made money on all of them. I think part of the question was short-term versus long-term or immediate. As Nima said, people sometimes want immediate returns. I may have gone into something and it didn't work out the way I planned it. So if I thought I was going to buy a rental property and I was going to get X dollars a month, maybe that didn't work. But then because of that strategy, I flipped my strategy and then ended up selling it, and then I made 30 or 40% of my money that way. So I always was able to turn a profit, but it didn't always go the direction that I expected.
Yeah.
So I'll give you guys a prime example right now, right? I own a property. I bought it for $110,000. I'm in contract to sell it for $321,000.
That's making money. $500.
This is not my first flip, right? I've done at most 30 to 40 grand worth of work on it, right? I'm debating today to kill the contract.
Why?
I could turn around and I could make 200 plus $1,000, and I've probably been to the place 5-6 times at best. And 2 of those times was to throw some oil in the tank because it's an oil tank and I didn't want the pipes to freeze, right? And there's an issue with the other side getting a commitment. I've held it so long. At this point, I'm like, what's the point? Yeah, well, I have 200 grand now, but what does that mean? Take half away for capital gains tax.
Yeah.
What am I going to do with the other 100 grand with everything overpriced and inflated? What does it mean to me? Or I could just turn around and say, I'll rent it out. Sure, what am I going to get a month? Maybe $2,500, $3,000, then I have property taxes, maybe a little bit of a headache. But I could turn around, refi it, pull my capital back out, hold on to the property, let the rent pay it, I have my cash in my pocket, and let the rent pay off the mortgage. Or I could just still keep it debt free, I own it outright, rent it, and I get my money trickling back in.
Notice what he said. He could refi it and pull his capital out. So he would, in essence, own the property for free and get a positive cash flow.
Let's take a vote. I'm going to leave it actually to the audience.
Okay.
By the end of this, I will send an email either killing this transaction and going with plan B, or keeping the transaction. Is that possible to do?
So, okay guys, so here's what he's saying. At the end of the program, before we get off, you guys are going to vote on whether he should kill the deal, keep it, maybe rent it, refinance it, whatever he should do, or sell it. He has the option. He can either sell it, make 200 grand, or he can keep it and see what happens down the line. So just listen to the
vote too?
Huh?
Do we get to vote?
Do you get to vote? Of course you get to vote. I mean, really, his vote is the one that counts.
No, I'm not voting.
Okay.
Honestly, I'm 50-50. I will leave this to the audience to decide the fate of this money. Right?
Always something really exciting.
All right, so hold on, let's recap it. You have 110 into the deal, plus the 30,000.
Say 40.
All right, so you're in.
So
at
150.
Say 50.
Right, so you're in at 150. You
Say
have
buck
150 cash. Does that include your carrying costs?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're all in at 150. You have a contract at 310.
321.
321. So.
But a
More than double.
but a $20,000 or no $27,000 credit for septic. So it's really $295.
So let's say
you're doubling your
let's
money.
simple it. So it's 300 minus 150. So you have $150,000 gain, right? Of that gain, you're going to pay taxes if you sell it of how much?
40%.
No comment. That'll be another lesson. But
he's going to pay no taxes.
Let's
No.
assume the going rate.
in theory, I've held the property for over a year because it just honestly was just too far and I just stopped caring about it and I left it there for like 6 months. But so I've had it for over a year. So it's not short-term capital gains. Say 35%.
Okay, so give me a number. 35% of 150 is what?
35% of 150.
Say 45.
35,000 plus 50, another
We
15.
do have a real
50.
estate math class, guys.
It's 50,000.
50,000. So now we have $100,000 profit, right? What can you rent the place for?
Say 2750.
Is it a single family?
Yes.
Okay.
What are your taxes?
12,000.
12,000. So
Where is it?
12,000.
Sussex, New Jersey.
So let's take
I
12.
thought
What's
exactly.
27? Do you have any other expenses monthly? Just pay for
Insurance.
landscaping?
No.
Okay.
I drive a guy out there once a month. Bare
2750. The
Minus
taxes are
1,000.
12,000. That's 1,000 a month. Let's take 15. So let's say you're making 1,400 a month. Is that a fair estimate?
minimum. So yeah.
Okay. So what's 1,400 a month? If we take that $100,000 you're gonna make, what percentage is that? If you're making 1,400 a month off $100,000, what's
8%.
our?
Off
That's
100,000.
8%.
Off 100,000
Yeah.
or
Off
150?
150 because that's not
No,
too
you're
invested.
paying 150. Oh, that's right. You're losing that.
So, alright, so you're 150, you're making 1,400 a month.
Yes.
Yeah. About 9%.
I would sell it. But that's me. I would sell it.
That's a 9%. He's making 9% on his money. Where can
Yeah.
you make 9%?
Do another flip.
Okay. Do you have another flip?
No.
Okay.
But
Do you need this liquidity right now for anything else? You have money. You don't need this money.
It's a watch I've really been looking at.
Oh.
No,
get you
I don't.
9% in this market.
No.
All right. So now, if you refi it, okay, and you pull out the 150, right? That'll reduce your monthly income from 1,400 to
Zero.
no, it won't be zero because if you take a 30-year or if you take a 25-year amortization on
a residential. Right?
it depends on how he does it, but so if you can get a residential loan and you've got a 30-year mortgage and you're taking 100,000 out at like 5%, right? What is that?
Sorry, guys, we're gonna get to all your questions, by the way, when Eric's on this calculation.
We will, but
So
let's,
what
let's
was
hear
your question?
this.
So what's the mortgage going to cost you if you take
So,
150,000?
If you
500
take
bucks a month.
if you take 160 at 3.6%, let's say $750.
Okay, so if you take $160,000, which is $10,000 more than you invested, you pay no taxes. It's going to cost you $750. So then you're still making $650 a month. So everybody got that?
Yes.
So you're making $650 a month. You got all your money out, and you could still go do whatever you want.
So
Whereas
I
if
would
you sell
probably
it,
keep it then.
if you sell it, you would make just about another $50,000 more.
Or I could pull out more than 160 because it appraises out at 320.
Yeah.
What if I pulled out 250?
Okay.
You can
So
pull
then
out
you're
now.
making
Pull out-
money off your refi.
And what's the mortgage on 250? $1,200 a month?
I'll tell you right now. About, yeah.
Okay. So say it's not going to be a residential loan because I bought it under an LLC. So it's going to be, in theory, it's going to be an investor loan. So say it's 5% interest as opposed to 2.5 or
That
3.
shoots it up, so that now you're at $1,350 a month.
Fine, right? My car payment's more than that. So you're at $1,350 a month. Just put that in context. You're at
Okay.
$1,350 a month. Guys, most of you pay $200 a month for your cell phone. You're at
Sure.
you're at $1,350 a month, right? The rent is, say it's $3,000 a month, right? It's very, very conservative. Say it's $3,000 a month. Say $2,800. So you're at $1,350 a month for your mortgage. Another $1,000
You guys
a
are
month.
losing me. Are they losing you with all of the numbers? You're losing me
We're
with all the
analyzing
numbers.
the deal, trying
I
to figure
get
out
it.
what.
All
let's dumb it
right,
down.
I'm gonna write it down. So your mortgage, right? And I'm gonna put this on the screen.
So yeah, Monique says yes. You're losing her too.
Okay. So
Thank
guys,
you, Monique.
my mortgage is $1,350 a month.
Right.
My insurance is say $60 a month.
Okay.
Say $100 a month.
Okay.
Okay. My taxes are another $1,000 a month. Everything else becomes a tenant's responsibility, right? Because it's a one-family house.
Right.
So I'm gonna hold this up for everybody.
I don't know.
What is the total here? $2,450. Can anybody see that?
So as long as you are renting it for $2,450, you're breaking even.
Beyond breaking even.
Beyond
I've doubled my money.
You've doubled your money.
Now
already.
remember, if I go get a mortgage, this is at a $250,000 mortgage, right? So I have $250,000 of liquidity in my pocket,
Tax free,
and it cost me $0. Are you guys following me?
and he still has a profit every month.
Yeah, I could probably
And you
still
still
make
have-
$500-600 a month, which will leave me with what, $5,000-6,000 a year in profit for a free vacation for a day.
Okay.
But you also have to be able to get that mortgage. So not everybody potentially could be qualified to get that type of mortgage.
So, interesting fact, it's easier to get an investor mortgage with because you have a tenant, they know it's income producing, and they look
Yeah.
less to your actual income and they look
Than
to the
for the deal.
income of the property. So it's easier, in my opinion, to get that mortgage as an investor,
If it's under an LLC ownership, it is easier, yeah.
right?
You have to understand the parameters for that.
So let's talk about, let's say I do want to get a rental property. Let's say I have not done this. I am not Nima, I'm not Eric, I'm not Omar. I've never done this before and I want to get a rental property. Where do I start? What do I do? These guys, where do they start?
By calling these two.
Okay, after they call these two, what do they physically do?
Right.
I think, well, you want to handle it? Go for it.
Sure, I'll start.
Okay.
But so I think there's different grades on your level of involvement. So if you have a full-time job and you can't commit time to real estate, you're what I would consider a retail investor, meaning that you won't have the time to find the golden deals that Nima just mentioned. That's an amazing deal, and you won't find that sitting on the open market. So depending on
they
your
don't?
level, yeah,
You will never find that.
You went
Right.
looking for that.
I had an agent who I had a good relationship with. They flip houses themselves. Their capital was just too tied up. It was a good deal, and they gave me the opportunity.
So you went for it.
Sure, but I wasn't greedy. In return, I gave her a finder's fee for it. Just real estate agent.
Okay.
I always take care of people who take care of you guys. Rule number one: don't be cheap.
Okay, so
right. So he got a great deal that's off market, and it's very unique. Now, if you're a retail investor, you work 9 to 5, you have some money saved, you want to put it into real estate, you're looking at a whole different sourcing of deals. And if you go into retail deals, you'll have to put down 20% and take the traditional route. So your investment criteria will be different. You're looking to park your money on a good property that you can easily manage, and chances are you won't get access to the deals that you just mentioned. If you have time and you can put in the legwork, make some connections, get the good deals, then go for the ones that are off market, and it'll be a whole separate ROI.
Just ask people, are you looking to
Yeah.
sell your house?
So, guys, remember, the deals that sometimes we find is a decade of being in the game and relationships we built, right? It's, you know, it says don't try this at home. It kind of goes there too. So I'm going to answer a couple questions that now have passed by.
Well, let's go back so everyone can answer. Let's go back and look at some of these. So people want to know about your exit strategies, but your exit strategies are either sell or to rent.
This is the option. You guys haven't voted yet, by the way.
No, we're not there yet, right?
Exit strategy depends on what your goals are. If your goal is to buy one and you only have the capital to buy one, and you can't do this refinance like we're discussing where you can pull out more capital to buy another one, then your exit strategy may be to sell it, because then you could go buy two and then you could grow your portfolio that way. If you have the ability to do this refinance and your goal is looking for long-term passive income, then you do the refinance, you keep the property, and then you use what the proceeds from that refi to go buy another one.
So what's a 1031 exchange? You guys should be learning about this in class, but what's a 1031 exchange?
You want me to do it? 1031 exchange, it's basically you buy a property, you own a property, you want to sell it. It's like trading baseball cards. So you're taking this property and you're trading it for another property, and it avoids you having to pay taxes. It's relatively simple, but there are rules involved. You have to buy something within a certain amount of time. You can't touch the money. So let's say you're selling something for $1 million. You actually have to take that $1 million, and you have to give it to a third party. And that third party holds your money. So that's a little freaky because it's not actually in your bank account, it's not in your hands. Part of the rules is that you're not allowed to touch that money. And then that money gets transferred to the new property that you're buying at that closing.
So this is something you can't do with this, Nima, right?
I could.
Yeah, you could.
You could?
So
but you don't have anything else? You said you didn't have another one that you're going to.
So 1031 exchanges, you have, I think it's 90 days or 6 months. Those are like the two criteria. Once you close, you have to find what's called a 1031 exchange intermediary, right? A lot of people don't recognize this. You have to put that money in this intermediary's bank account, and it sits there as an escrow agent. Then, within a period of finite time, you must identify the property which you intend to exchange on. 6 months? Within 6 months. Then you have a limited time to close on it. If you miss any of these timetables, you lose the ability to 1031 exchange. If you identify a property and you do not purchase it, right, and the timetable lapses, you lose your opportunity and you're stuck paying tax on it. It's not that simple, and usually it requires both parties to execute certain documents. So
it's actually 45 days to identify it. And then
6
months to close.
Yeah.
And you can identify more than one, so you could identify 3 properties. So in case you could have backup properties, so if one doesn't go through, you could.
An ultimate loophole that people don't realize, renovation cost can go into that. So you can identify a property less than the amount you have, and you can then fill the gap in with renovation costs.
I did not know that.
Do each of you have an LLC that you do your investments under, or do you do it under yourself?
Never do it under yourself.
Yeah.
Never.
So every flip that you do should
Did you hear that, Amanda?
Yeah.
Never.
So if you're doing a flip, you should put it under an LLC at all times. Ownership should be an LLC that you own along with whoever else is involved.
Now you could have one LLC that you just reuse.
Yeah.
So you use it for property one, and then actually if you're going to do a 1031 exchange, it requires that you rebuy it in the name of that same entity that you own.
Yeah.
So you could have, start in 2022, you create an LLC, you then own this property, then you sell it, you buy another one, you just keep moving that LLC down the road. Where you would question the next step would be if you were going to buy 10 properties. Then in theory, to protect yourself, you would have a different LLC for each property.
So how do you find the places? How do you know it's a good place to get an investment? Like how did you decide Sussex was okay?
So I didn't. Interesting story.
Sorry, my fiance lives in Sussex County. So
No, that's okay.
Sussex.
So look, I also at the same time I did a flip in Palisades Park, and I did another one in Bergen County. I mean, a lot of people here will disagree with me. I think that the market up here has become so saturated that if I have to, guys, when you do a flip, right? Everyone, you watch all these programs, make money with other people's money. No, it doesn't work like that. Because if other people are giving you money, they're going to end up with a better end of it. If you're a smart investor, you're putting your own money in, so you're not paying high interest rates.
But you always say differently.
That's a good point. So what if you don't have your own money?
Then put, my opinion, and people have different opinions. My opinion, pool your money together with other people, join a fund that does it and go that route. Because a lot of people do flips, it's not their own money, and the only person guaranteed to walk away with 15-16% at the end of that transaction is the hard money lender you went to. Unless you go to an institutional bank, and then they're going to whack you for early termination. All these, I see them all the time now, right? Early term fees, early termination, early payoff penalties. So at the end of it, when you've paid out everyone else and you spent $100,000 of your money and you make 20 grand in 1 year.
Right.
First of all, there's exceptions to all of this. They're giving you like the overview. There's ways to do everything. Don't get discouraged if you don't fit into one of these bubbles or one of these solutions.
Right.
There are plenty of times that I know Omar has or I have been super creative, gotten money for much less of a percentage, convinced someone to trust us or convinced someone to try something different, or convinced the seller to finance you. There are so many ways and opportunities to do something.
Oh yeah. That's guys, I'm talking about so generic.
How can I use other? So I only, I'm at a job, I'm working, I'm getting paid every 2 weeks, and it takes care of my bills. How can I then go out and find other people's money? I want your money. How do I get your money? Or your? How do I get Nima's money? How do I get Eric's money?
You're over my house with a gun, and even then I shoot first.
Yeah.
So how do I get other people's money?
So the whole idea of OPM, other people's money, is if you have a deal.
Remember OPP, guys? OPM. Okay.
Now you know me.
Okay.
I'm down.
Just gave away our age, but yeah. If you have a deal that's good enough where you have enough profit to share with other people, that's when you bring in OPM, as long as you know how to get that deal closed. The whole idea of OPM is you may not have the financing to get the deal closed, but hey, Eric, do you have 100 grand that you want to invest?
Hell yeah.
You do, of course. So what do you want in return?
8%.
That's it? That's a great investor right there. So
I got a deal for you.
Is 8% normal? Is that what are you looking at?
8% is very competitive, and you can make a lot of money if you can get financing at 8%. So
it depends on the situation. If you have like a grandpa who has $500,000 in the bank, but he's conservative and he's getting what does the bank pay? 1%? What is a money market? 3%?
Not even 0.01%.
So he may look at it like, I want to do this for you, I want to help you out, and I'll be happy with 5 or 6% because he doesn't have the opportunity to make that.
But not
or if you go to a
has
shark like
uncle.
him, he's going to want 10%. But it doesn't have to be
12%.
It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be your uncle.
Yeah.
It could be your neighbor.
it could be your friend.
It could be a friend. It could be
How do you
anybody.
approach people? I mean, I would feel weird going up and being like, Omar, so I want to ask you if you'll invest in me because maybe I don't, this is my first flip. So how would you get someone to do that?
I would get a knowledge base. So I would go take classes. I would study. I would read. I would start the conversations. So I wouldn't just show up at the Christmas party and be like, hey, who wants to lend me money? I would start talking about it 6 months in advance. Let everybody know what I'm doing. Let everybody know that I'm going to school for this and that I'm learning and I took this class and how exciting, and show different examples. And then after you kind of set that stage for 6 months, then you can start. And Omar will tell you, you don't have to ask for $2 million. You could do 25,000. You could do 30,000. You could do 50,000. You could pool it together, like kind of what he said, but in your own way.
So guys, friends and family is your best bet. I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
Until it's such a weird circle. People are haters. When they see you driving a nice car, when they see you making money, they become jealous and want to know how you're making it, and they want a piece of it. Then they'll come to throw money at you. They'll want to do deals with you because you're making it and they see you're making it. But then at that point, you don't need their money because you've made it, right? So it's a really weird cycle. If in the beginning, you're asking, raising money is the hardest thing to do. If you're asking people to give you money just off of your character, which is what it comes down to, your best bet is getting together all your friends and family and saying, I have this opportunity, be concise, do the numbers, get your after appraised value, after construction appraised value, break it all down to them and say, guys, this is what I think, bring together all the comps, say this is what I'm buying it for, this is what my construction cost estimate is, do you guys want to go on this journey with me, right? You'd be surprised, some people would be interested. But you have to be there with the information, not just a dream and a thought. No one wants to invest in that.
Yeah.
Well, you guys talked about forming an LLC. So if I form an LLC and I want to get money, but I want to go to an institution or a hard money lender, but I have no credit because the LLC doesn't have a credit history because I just formed it. What do you do there?
So they don't really look to your LLC's credit history.
Okay.
They only do that if you're looking for non-recourse debt. right? If it's recourse debt, which most debt is, that means you're individually guaranteeing that debt, so they look to your credit history. Most people don't borrow just against their LLC. That happened a lot, pre-08. That doesn't really happen a lot now.
Right.
You can still do that if you're a very, very good, you're very bankable. People get those loans, but you guys are going to be at a very different level at that point.
And to add, so the whole purpose of buying a flip or rental property in an LLC is that a hard money lender won't finance your personal name. Because if they finance a property under your personal name, they go into the housing restrictions. So their loophole is they're lending to a business. They're not lending to an individual.
If they don't pay, is what he's saying. If they don't pay, if you don't pay your mortgage, then you go into the foreclosure process which could take 10 years. Where if it's an LLC,
They
could
just take
it right back because there's no individual. You have no rights. They take the LLC and they take the company back.
So the detailed answer to that actually is there's something called the Fair Foreclosure Housing Act, and it's a law that was passed that gives people who are primary residents in their home specific rights and requirements of a foreclosure process. That only is for individual homeowners.
But that goes out the window when you're an LLC,
If you're,
so they give
because it's an investment property. It's
right.
not, and that's why most people will actually require you to have an LLC if you're going for non-institutional money, because they don't want you to be. They're not going to lend to you on a house you want to live in.
That
it
makes
needs to
sense.
be you're going to sign an affidavit that you're not going to live there.
That makes sense.
Right? There's.
And the risk goes up, the rates will be higher, and the whole criteria is different.
Okay, I want the truth. We're gonna do a truth here. I want you guys to,
no dare.
no dare, but a truth. Have you ever lost friends or family over doing deals, over money? I mean, think about Thanksgiving, right?
I have over making people money.
Over making people money.
Yeah.
Have you?
Over
investments.
So we're talking about friends and family. I've had relationships that had issues for an extended period of time that had to be worked through, which I was able to overcome, but it did create some issues. And usually those issues were based on not having clear-cut expectations. So there was never any wrongdoing on either party. It was just what someone else's expectations were versus what mine were, and not having a clear-cut definition.
Omar?
I haven't. And part of the reason...
Omar's the golden boy. He's like, no, it's all perfect.
No, I wouldn't say it's perfect, but part of the reason is because before I get anyone involved, I'm neurotic with numbers. And not only that, but I'm asking the person to take a significant risk. If you're not ready to deliver, you shouldn't be asking people for their money. Because I just read a comment. And if you lose someone's money, it's not all fun and games at that point.
Right.
You better find a way to pay that person back. And if you're not willing to take that responsibility to pay that individual back, you shouldn't be doing it.
Well, hold on. So if they're coming in, I disagree with that. If they're coming in on a project with you, they should absorb the risk along with the reward.
So I
It
agree
depends
with
if it's
that.
a partnership or
Yeah.
if it's a lend.
So I would agree with that, but what
Exactly.
if you're new and you don't have the track record? Then they'll say, well, I'm investing in you, I'm taking this big risk. What are you doing in return for me? If your response is, well, if you lose your money, it's not my fault.
Well, at the end of the day, I would highly recommend anyone raising money tells everyone that there's a risk, because
I would agree with
if not, guys, here's my theory: take it on as debt. So I had a couple deals back in the day, and I brought someone in on equity. They were making a killing. I no longer needed them on equity, right? So I brought them in on debt because I was willing to back them money at that point,
Yeah.
right? The reason our relationship fell out is the whole project went south, right? Over there, I had partners in it, right? The profits were very, very minimal, but it went past the 1 year we talked about in debt. Right? Because at the end of the day, where I do agree is if you're taking on debt, you service that debt, stroke the checks, and all the payments were made. Okay? No, 1 year went back, there's an email, we have a contract, there's some work that needs to be done, this is going another 4 months, here's a check, I'm prepaying if you're cool with it, 4 more months at the prevailing interest previously assigned, right?
Got it.
Deal finished. At the end of the day, right, people get rude while you're not making them more money, right? And then they see you making money and they think, well, I want a piece of the profit.
I want more.
But they don't want the risk.
Right.
People
Right.
don't want risk. They
Right.
want to give you money. You can lose their money and they want it back. But if you make them twice their money, they're not like, hey, you took on the risk and I got all the reward.
Right.
If people are coming in, guys, as not debt, as coming in as equity, and you're doing right and you're hustling, listen, there's a risk. Not every deal makes it, Everyone's taking a risk. No one's money is guaranteed. If you guys are going to guarantee people's money, then don't guarantee them the complete upside of the profits. Be fair. What's fair is fair.
Agreed.
Give
Good
them
point.
debt, sign a personal guarantee, and say, you will never lose on this deal no matter what. I will honor what you put in at this interest, but you will not make more than that amount.
Okay.
So you're right. So I kind of skipped over that important step that he mentioned. If you're taking on debt, you can guarantee it. If you're bringing on an equity partner, the rules change. So I typically don't take on equity partners unless they're bringing in all the funding. Debt is a better way to go initially.
But you can use that as an incentive. So if someone doesn't want to lend you the money, and you show them that you have a very profitable opportunity, and then you offer them some type of equity or some type of profit sharing, that may flip them into being more interested in the property.
Yeah, and initially when you begin, all of this stuff won't be clearly ironed out. You're gonna have to figure out what works for you and your friends or investors, and then make it happen.
Should I explore their minds and talk about convertible debt?
Let's talk
Convertible
about
debt?
Convertible,
Nathaniel.
yeah.
Let's
Well, not on the flip, but
Let's talk to you, Nathaniel. Nathaniel says, I'm a young guy, 19, in college. I have funds laying around. Not a huge sum of money, give or take 20,000. Is there a place I can find an investment in real estate, in a real estate fund or property, etc.?
We all are going to have different opinions. So why don't you start?
So to me, what I read is you have 100,000.
I
Right?
read 20K.
Sure, but I see
Okay.
if you got 20K cash, that means you can borrow 100, right? Because that's 20%. So I read that you have 100,000. So when I see 20, I see 100. What can you do with 100,000 is the real question if you're doing a flip. And it's in New Jersey, in this moment, not much. You have to go further out. We talked about
Sussex County,
other
yeah.
areas.
Mhm.
And again,
Another state.
yeah, guys,
Pennsylvania.
we
It's
just
right
talked
there.
the glory. We didn't talk about what happens if for 3 months you don't have a tenant or they don't pay their rent,
Right.
and how your cap rate crashes.
Yeah.
That's a whole other conversation. What we should look back to. I just thought of, but
Yeah.
with 20K, honestly, I think the best thing you can do is look for a capital fund or something like that that has a minimum of a $25,000 investment. Pool it together, because the real money projects are the expensive ones that most people can't afford, right?
Rick?
So yes. However, if you're 19 and
Which
you have
is so adorable.
which is young, I used to be 19.
Probably about $5 worth of Dogecoin. And I got 20.
So you have your whole life ahead of you at 19, and to go into something like that, it's very low risk. You're not really the reward is not really that great. I'd almost rather you keep saving and look for an opportunity to turn over something like a flip where you can generate more money, and then you can use that to buy something bigger. Because when you're so young, having the opportunities there, knowing that if you lose that money, you can remake it. You don't have to worry about risk as much. You can be more risky and take more opportunities. So I would probably do that.
If I was 19 with 20,000,
Yeah.
which is probably about the amount that I had at that age, I wouldn't look to invest in real estate at all. I would use it as my reserves and use the money to learn about real estate, because it's not enough to really get yourself into something that's substantial.
So save, like I said,
Yeah,
and make
save.
it bigger.
Yeah, so I agree with that. I would not, once you have significant funds and you use that money to learn, you can attract other people's money if you know what you're doing.
So can I ask you guys a question? So if that's your theory, save and wait till you have more, right?
Sort of, but what I mean is increase your income producing ability so you can have more. Not necessarily save pennies.
No, but it'll to make that 20 into something larger, right? So you both agree on that.
I didn't say he could partner with someone and pool. So you could pool that, but the goal would be to get a larger chunk to do something else.
Yeah.
Perfect. So what about the thought of, and kind of merging what I said with what you guys said, taking that 20, because we just talked about leaving in the bank at 0.01%.
Right, you
not
don't want to
making
do
any
that.
money.
You don't want to leave it in the bank.
Find a capital source that you'll make even 10, 12% a year, put it in that source for a short-term period like a year, and then still continue to save, but at least that 20 grand is also making money itself. It's not locked up. A nice combination of build but also don't let it sit around.
It's an option.
And find a source like,
What's your source?
well, what's your capital source? What's the average rate of return? It's at least 10%, right?
10%, 8% sometimes depending on the deal, level of risk.
So 8-10%, guys, if that money's sitting in the bank, you're gonna get like $20 at the end of the year. At 8-10% at Omar's capital
Yeah.
group, you're gonna be stuck with, you're gonna get $1,800. So your 20 becomes almost 22,000, and you've done nothing.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people like you who are looking to park their funds somewhere, and guess what? That's your OPM.
OPM. other people's money.
Yeah.
What about Amanda? She's like, well, I have a family. I'm not 19. I'm assuming you're not 19, Amanda. You could be 19, but I have a family.
We don't judge
Should I get, maybe you should get a multi-family home, live in one part with your family and rent out the other. Is that a good investment?
Biggest regret of my life to date, I will say this. I mean, there's regrets. But if I have to think of one,
Is it the biggest?
in my opinion,
Okay.
right? Well, what do you think it is?
Buying your house early.
In my 20s, I bought a multi-million-dollar house, right? And I don't believe in carrying debt on the home you live in, right? A lot of people will leverage the house they live in for investments. Everyone's talking about borrowing and buying new. Guys, that's great until someone stops paying rent. Because guess what? Once your cash flow stops, your debt doesn't. That's a whole other conversation. And you never want to lose the house you live in. If I took the amount of equity I have and I put it into the market at that time, what it would be today would be ridiculous.
Bill Gates.
No. But it would be something that I would say, wow, I wish I did that. Your house you live in will never appreciate in value at the rate your investments will appreciate in value.
But it can be an investment for your heart and your family. So you still want to buy a house young, right?
But not the way to make
Depends.
Not the way to make millions.
So
Yeah,
not the multifamily and rent out.
No, but
No,
it depends.
that's
no,
not a
that's
house. He's
different.
talking about a single family house.
A
to
single
live
family
in.
house.
As far as buying a multi-unit and living in one, I would say that's the best way for the average person to build wealth in this country. So
let's
definitely.
go back.
Okay.
Let's go back to Nathaniel. Nathaniel has $20,000. Okay, you could buy a 3-family house for what? $400,000
In this market,
In like a smaller town.
in this market, 500, 600,
All right, 500. What's 3% of 500?
15 grand.
Right. So there's a product called an FHA loan. You have to live in the house. So you could take yourself or your family, buy a 3-family home, take an FHA loan product, which is 3% down. You have to live in the house for at least 6 months. You could move your family in there, rent the 2 other units, and voila, you just got your first investment property.
As long as you can keep a renter in there.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, if it's multi and it's a 3-family, even if you lose one renter, you still have another.
Okay.
You have a contingency. A single family house is very risky because one renter's gone or not paying, no money.
okay.
And that's your debt service goes from 12% to negative pretty soon.
yeah.
So Nathaniel, look into the FHA loan program. If you have the ability to do that, I don't know if you're ready to move out on your own or if your family's currently renting and willing to move into something that you guys own as a family, that would be a great avenue.
Amanda, can I ask you a question? Because your question was pretty pointed, right? He says, if you want to continue to be an investor but you have a family, would you buy a family home or rent and continue to purchase investments? How old is your family? How old are your kids? And what are you looking for at that point in their lives to provide for them?
Why don't you just give her the scenarios? If your kids are this age, you should do this.
So what if you actually, Eric,
if your kids are babies, and we're gonna have to wrap up
So,
in a
all
minute.
right. So I think the younger you are and the younger your kids are, the more risk you can take, right? If you're 40 and you have kids that are going into college, you need the money for college. So if you blow up your whole life, you're going to be stuck, right? If you're, 19 and have no kids, if you're 22 and have no kids, if you're 30 and have a 1-year-old, what does a 1-year-old need? You have a couple years to figure it out. So if you do screw up something, you can rebuild. It really depends on what you need. If you're used to driving a $1,500 Mercedes every month and you can't go down to a $300 Toyota, then you have a problem, right? So it really depends on what your risk tolerance is. So I would gauge your risk tolerance, understand that in order to be successful, you have to take risk.
I would also say, guys, do you want to provide a luxury lifestyle for your kid before they can even remember it? Or do you want to provide them their necessities when they can remember it? Because your 2-year-old is not going to remember your marble foyer. Your 3-year-old is not going to remember it, and you're going to cover it with a carpet anyway so they don't crack their head open, right? You're going to be putting foam on everything so they're safe. Like, at the end of the day, when your kids are young, who cares? They're young, right? They're literally rolling in mud and peeing on trees.
Well, on that note, we are going to, let's see, how does this work? It should have popped up on your guy's screen. Should Nima hold or sell his property? Should Nima hold or sell his property? Where is the pop-up? Let me see if I can find it.
Did you do a poll?
I did a poll. How do I do the poll? Actually, guys, I didn't do the poll correctly, so I just want you guys to write.
Oh, no.
I didn't do the poll correctly. So I want you guys to write in your thing.
Can we do it real quick right now?
Yeah, no, write in the comments. Should he hold or should he sell? Everyone, right now, I should see a ton of people typing. We have keep.
Well, I'm gonna keep a tally now. Tell me how many holds.
So we have hold. Oh, everyone's saying hold. We only have 2 sells. Hold. Come on, guys, hold. We have 4 sales. The rest
you can't
hold.
vote twice.
Everyone is saying hold. Everyone is saying hold. We have 4 sales and the rest are holds.
Wait, can we vote too?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sell.
I'm with them, but maybe it's because I'm not experienced like you guys. I like the hold.
The reason we're saying sell is it's a single family property,
Yes.
which we didn't cover, single versus multi.
Okay.
And because we do bigger stuff, and we know that he can do bigger stuff. If he was a first timer or like a not in this world, we'd probably tell him to keep it.
All right. So
Right?
If he was a first timer, I would say to sell even more.
I'm letting you know that your audience and the deal that you made told you to sell.
Okay, guys, sold.
Oh, no, sorry. Told you to hold. They told you to hold.
Audience.
They told you to hold. That was my bad.
No,
my bad.
I have.
No, sell,
I have more
hold,
cells.
hold,
Never said sell.
hold. 2 cells, hold, another sale, hold.
What's boom?
Boom is hold.
Just ignore boom.
We are going to have to pick up this conversation maybe next week. And we will let you know on our Facebook page as well as our Instagram what next week's topic is. Thank you guys so much for being with us. And
One last comment. Someone asked about the flip class that's coming up this month.
flip. Go to www.recareercenter.com/product/flip. And you will be able to learn from this guy right here.
Weekend class.
It's a weekend class. All right, we gotta go. But thank you guys, and
If you visualize it, you can own it.
Thank you, Derek.
visualize it, you own it. Bye, guys.